There's been an awful lot of talk about Marines tonight. And in reality, this began with a single Marine. And soldiers envy Marines. They envy you your cool uniforms. Soldiers also admire Marines. And they admire them deeply for the absolute adherence to duty. If you give a Marine an order, they will follow it forever. Let me tell you a story. Many, many years ago, many of us who share the same faith know that the Romans, frightened by Jesus of Nazareth, prosecuted him, convicted him, and crucified him to death. Because they were worried about the political repercussions, they took his body and they put it in a cave, a tomb, and they blocked it with a huge stone. And then they guarded that tomb so that it couldn't be opened. The story says it was a Roman legionnaire, but in reality, this was serious business, so it was guarded by a United States Marine. The Marine was told to stand his post, and he did that. For almost 3 days, without sleeping, without eating, without moving, the Marine faithfully held his post. And then late at night, on the third day, the large rock just moved as though by itself. And Jesus walked out. The man who'd been carried in as a corpse. The Marine looked at him, came to attention, and saluted. Jesus looked at the Marine and said, "Play dumb till I get back." Go Army. All right. Delaware was a slave state. A lot of us don't remember that. In the first half of the 19th century, Delaware was a slave state. And so a young African-American slave, about 26 years old, who wanted to escape from an Eastern Shore plantation, had to cross through Delaware and make it all the way to Philadelphia until she could start to breathe easy. And then she had to go all the way to Canada until she was sure she was safe from being reapprehended and put back into slavery. She was known as Minty for her name Arminta. She went all the way to Canada. It was 1849. And then she came back. And she went back into the Eastern Shore of Maryland, first to help lead to freedom members of her family, and then on subsequent occasions to lead other slaves to freedom. She went back into slave-controlled territory 13 times. Any single time she had gone in, if she'd been apprehended, if she had not been killed, she would have been put back into slavery and almost certainly sold to a plantation in the Deep South. She was about 5 feet tall. She'd been hit in the head by a lead weight as a teenage girl, and so it gave her periodic lapses where she would almost lose consciousness for the rest of her life. And yet she went back into slave-controlled territory to bring out almost 80 slaves to freedom. She became an essential part of the Underground Railroad. Then during the Civil War, now known as Moses, Harriet Tubman went into the South with Union soldiers and actually led Union troops on raids to free contraband, which was the term for slaves that were being liberated, led Union troops to bring them back. She came back into the North to raise money. She became an abolitionist speaker. She became a symbol for slaves and former slaves. She became a symbol for women. She became a symbol for all African Americans. She became a symbol for Americans. She died in 1913. Didn't have a nickel to her name. Lived modestly, never asked for anything except late in life to be given a pension she'd been promised by the United States government as a veteran. When I think of Harriet Tubman, I think about the values of the Travis Manion Foundation. I found a quote that this uneducated lady stated. She said, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world." To this organization, to everyone in this room, to everyone in this room that's not in this room that supports this cause, my sincere thanks. Because you understand, as Travis taught us all, if not me, then who? Thank you very much.